Sophia, what's the first thing you do when you wake up?
Check my phone. I know, bad habit.
Ha, me too. But then I make coffee and I realize that's such an American thing.
What do you mean?
My Japanese friend does a whole tea ceremony. My Brazilian friend starts with strong espresso. Everyone's morning is different.
That's actually fascinating, and they're all using English to describe these routines.
Exactly. So today we're taking a trip around the world through morning routines, daily habits, and evening rituals.
And learning tons of practical English vocabulary along the way.
No boring textbooks, just real people describing real life.
I love this. Let's explore. You know what's crazy? Most English textbooks teach you I wake up at 7 a.m., I brush my teeth, I eat breakfast, like everyone does the same thing.
Right? But that's not how the world actually works.
In Tokyo, breakfast might be grilled fish and miso soup. In Sao Paulo, it's strong coffee and cheese bread. In Munich, it's cold cuts and punctuality.
And when you learn English through these real routines, something magical happens.
What's that?
The vocabulary sticks because it's attached to actual cultural experiences, not abstract lists.
You remember onigiri because you can picture someone eating it for breakfast, not because you memorized it from a flashcard.
Exactly. And here's what we're doing today. We're traveling the globe experiencing different morning routines, daily habits, and evening rituals.
All while learning the English vocabulary that real people actually use to describe their lives.
From the moment you wake up in Japan to your commute in India to dinner in Mexico.
This is going to be so rich with vocabulary. Let's start with the morning.
Okay, transport me to Tokyo. What's a Japanese morning routine?
Picture this. You wake up to natural light because you don't use blackout curtains. You immediately open the windows for fresh air.
Already different from America.
Then comes breakfast, and this is where English learners get amazing vocabulary. You're not just eating breakfast, you're having a balanced meal with multiple small dishes.
What's on the table?
Grilled fish, white rice, miso soup, pickled vegetables, and maybe an onigiri. That's a rice ball wrapped in seaweed.
And there's a ritual phrase?
Yes, itadakimasu. Before eating, you express gratitude. In English, you'd say, I'm grateful for this meal, or let's eat.
So learners get food vocabulary, like grilled, pickled, wrapped, plus cultural expressions.
Exactly. Now, let's fly to Brazil.
Take me there.
Brazilian morning is all about café da manhã, literally morning coffee. The coffee is strong, thick, sweet.
Not like American drip coffee.
Completely different. You'd describe it as espresso-like, robust, concentrated, and you're having it with pão de queijo, cheese bread.
What's the vocabulary here?
You're learning texture words like crispy outside, soft inside, chewy, warm. You're learning intensifiers like really strong, super sweet.
And the social aspect?
Brazilians often talk about the day ahead over breakfast, so you get planning vocabulary like I have to, I need to, I'm planning to.
Beautiful. Now, Germany.
German Frühstück is efficiency in action. Everything is laid out perfectly. Sliced bread, cold cuts, cheese, jam.
Very organized.
Incredibly, so the vocabulary is about preparation and preference, like I prefer, I usually have, I like my bread with.
And punctuality.
Germans often say breakfast is at 7 sharp, so you learn time expressions like exactly, on the dot, punctually.
3 countries, 3 completely different mornings, tons of practical vocabulary.
And we're just getting started. Let's move to daily commutes and habits.
All right, rush hour in India. Paint the picture.
Chaos and energy. You're navigating through crowded streets, maybe in a rickshaw. That's a 3-wheeled vehicle.
What's the English vocabulary explosion here?
Transportation terms like auto rickshaw, metro, local train, traffic jam, congestion, but also action vocabulary like weaving through traffic, honking, navigating, squeezing in.
And people are talking?
Constantly. Quick greetings like where to, how much, can you go faster, informal, practical conversation.
So you learn transactional English.
Real-world negotiation and direction giving. Take a left, go straight, stop here. This is English you actually use.
Now jump to South Africa at lunchtime.
Okay, so braai culture is huge. It's like a barbecue, but it's a whole social institution.
Even during lunch breaks?
Sometimes, the vocabulary is about sharing and invitation, like join us, help yourself, there's plenty, would you like some?
And describing the food.
Texture and taste, like charred, juicy, smoky, tender, plus informal phrases like this is delicious, you've got to try this.
What about France in the afternoon?
Ah, the French afternoon stroll, flânerie. This is leisurely walking without purpose, just observing.
What English comes from this?
Descriptive language, you're noticing architecture, like ornate, classical, cobblestone streets, wrought iron balconies.
And in shops?
Polite inquiries, like may I see that? How much does this cost? Do you have this in another color? Formal but friendly retail English.
I'm seeing a pattern. Each culture teaches different types of English vocabulary.
Exactly. India teaches negotiation, South Africa teaches social invitation, France teaches polite inquiry. You're building a diverse vocabulary toolkit.
Let's finish with evening routines.
So, evening in Mexico, this is where family shines. Cena is dinner, but it's more than food.
Tell me about it.
You're in the kitchen, everyone's involved. The vocabulary is cooking focused, like chopping, sautéing, simmering, seasoning.
Specific actions?
Very specific. Dice the onions, brown the meat, fold in the cheese. Professional cooking vocabulary, but in a home context.
And the table?
Set the table, pass the tortillas, pour the agua fresca, but also expressions of affection like this smells amazing, you've outdid yourself, I love this.
So you're learning family warmth English.
Beautiful, emotional vocabulary. Now, Australia in the evening, the Arvo unwind.
Arvo?
Australian slang for afternoon, evening. After work, it's relaxation time.
What's happening?
TV, sports, casual chat. The vocabulary is leisure, like unwind, chill out, catch up on, binge watch.
Very contemporary.
And conversational, like how was your day? Anything interesting happen? Ready for tomorrow? Real, casual English.
Last stop, Korea at night.
Korean skincare routine. This is meticulous. 10 steps sometimes.
10 steps?
Cleanser, toner, essence, serum, moisturizer, eye cream. The vocabulary is incredibly specific.
Medical level precision?
Almost. Apply, pat gently, let it absorb, avoid the eye area. You're learning instruction vocabulary.
And self-care language?
Taking care of myself, my nightly ritual. It helps me relax. Mental health vocabulary embedded in physical routine.
So from Mexico's emotional warmth to Australia's casual English to Korea's precision vocabulary, all from evening routines.
And every single phrase is practical, usable, real.
All right, so we've traveled the world through routines. Now what?
Now you make it personal. Here's your challenge. Pick one routine we described and compare it to your version.
How do they do that?
Let's say you choose the Japanese breakfast routine. You describe your breakfast using the same vocabulary framework.
So instead of grilled fish and miso soup,
You might say, I have a balanced meal with scrambled eggs, toast, and orange juice. I start by saying, let's eat to my family.
you're using balanced meal, scrambled, and the gratitude concept.
Exactly. Or pick the Indian commute. Describe your commute using the transportation and action vocabulary.
I navigate through traffic, I take the metro, I weave through crowds.
Perfect. The vocabulary transfers to your life.
What about the Korean skincare routine?
Even if you don't do 10 steps, you can say, I apply face wash, I pat my skin dry, I moisturize before bed. You're using the action vocabulary.
This is brilliant because you're not just memorizing, you're using the vocabulary in your real context.
And here's what I want everyone to do. Go to the comments and describe one of your routines using vocabulary from today's episode.
Like homework but fun?
Exactly. And when you read other people's routines, you see the vocabulary used in even more contexts.
So your learning multiplies.
Exponentially, someone from Vietnam describes their morning, someone from Egypt describes their commute, someone from Chile describes their dinner.
You're building a global vocabulary bank.
And you're seeing that despite cultural differences, we all use similar English frameworks. We all wake up, commute, eat, relax.
The universality of routines is what makes this vocabulary so transferable.
Exactly. Now let me give one more powerful insight.
What's the final piece?
Here's what makes this approach transformative: consistency through routines.
Explain.
When you attach English vocabulary to your daily routines, you review it automatically every day.
Because you're living it.
Yes, you don't need flashcards for scrambled eggs if you eat scrambled eggs every morning. The vocabulary is reinforced through action.
So your routine becomes your study schedule.
Your routine is your study. Every time you make coffee, you practice brewing, pouring, strong, hot.
Every commute is practice.
Crowded, delayed, arriving, departing, every dinner is vocabulary review.
Chopping, cooking, tasting, serving.
And because it's connected to physical actions and real experiences, the vocabulary never feels abstract.
It's embodied learning.
Exactly. Your body remembers the action, your brain attaches the English word to that physical memory.
This is why immersion works so well. You're living the language.
But what we've shown today is you can create mini immersion experiences through conscious attention to your existing routines.
You don't need to move to America to learn brewing coffee. You just need to make coffee mindfully in English.
And the more routines you translate into English thinking, the more your entire day becomes English practice.
So here's what we've discovered. Everyday routines around the world are incredible English learning opportunities.
From Japanese breakfasts teaching us food vocabulary and gratitude, to Brazilian mornings giving us intensity and texture words.
German efficiency teaches planning language. Indian commutes give us negotiation English.
South African meals teach invitation and sharing.
French strolls develop descriptive abilities. Mexican dinners bring cooking and affection vocabulary.
Australian evenings teach casual conversation.
And Korean nighttime routines give us precision and self-care language.
The magic is connecting vocabulary to real, repeated actions in your own life.
Because when your routine becomes your practice, learning happens effortlessly.
So here's what to do. Describe one of your routines in the comments using English vocabulary from today's episode.
And read other people's routines to see the vocabulary in even more contexts.
And remember, you don't need textbooks when you have daily life. Pay attention, describe mindfully, and watch your vocabulary grow naturally.
If this episode inspired you to see your daily life as an English classroom, subscribe for more practical, real-world learning strategies.
Thanks for listening to Easy English Conversation.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.